Hello everyone and welcome to, I guess this is a music news video. I might do these periodically when there's kind of big news kind of in the music industry. And I think the event over the past couple of days in regards to the Taylor Swift Lover Live from Paris vinyl reissue. So I think there's been some big issues with UMG just canceling orders for customers, like apparently like thousands of orders potentially getting canceled for this rare and kind of sought after album. Before we get too deep into the video, I want to make perfectly clear that this is a video about UMG and not directly about Taylor Swift herself. She really doesn't have any kind of control over the situation necessarily. So this video is kind of going to be about UMG's kind of handling, or in this case, mishandling of this vinyl reissue for Lover Live from Paris. So I just wanted to get that out of the way right in the beginning. I have some notes here about this, and then I have some screenshots to kind of show about kind of potentially what is going on and what's how UMG has kind of addressed some of these issues. So let me just get my notes here. I don't have a notebook for this. Some paper here. Got my notes on it. So some context for what Lover Live from Paris is, if you're unfamiliar. So it is a live album that I think Taylor put out digitally. I think was it maybe like 2020? Let me actually just bring up the thing here. There's been a few different releases for it. So it first showed up as a digital download and streaming May 19th, 2020. And then a few years later, or a little less than a few years later, it got a vinyl release on Valentine's Day, so February 14th, 2023. And it most recently, I think January 7th, got its second vinyl reissue. So this was the only concert that she did to support the album Lover, which was her seventh album that came out in 2019. I think they had a whole tour planned for it, but of course, that tour ended up getting canceled due to kind of like the global like health crisis and the lockdowns and all that. So that tour never happened, and that's kind of a big reason the Eras tour existed, and she just recently wrapped that up as well, because at that point, so she didn't get to do the tour for Lover. And then during the lockdown, she did, in 2020, did Folklore and Evermore. So that's two more albums. And then after that, shortly after that, a few years later, she put out Midnights. So at that point, she had not toured, there's four albums that she hadn't toured yet. So kind of Loverfest getting canceled was a huge kind of, one of the antithesis of getting the Eras tour going. Because at that point, like I said, she had four albums that she hadn't toured yet. And then she was able to, pull in music from all of her other eras, from debut, a little bit of debut, mostly a lot of debut stuff kind of got skipped. But, like Fearless and Speak Now and Red, 1989, Reputation, Lover, Folklore, Evermore, and Midnights. And then eventually, in the second half of the tour of the Tortured Poets Department as well. So there was no tour for Lover, and this was kind of the only show she did for Lover was this one-off show in Paris. So that got released digitally. It got released to streaming. Like I said, it got released on vinyl on Valentine's Day a couple years ago, and then most recently got another reissue. So this is the reason this is a big news story is this is a very sought after Taylor Swift album. It's incredibly difficult to find, or at least it was. Maybe even still is with some of these issues with them canceling orders, but very hard to find. Used copies would go for upwards of like $800 on the secondary market, just because it had a very limited release when they did that Valentine's Day release. And this is kind of a lot of Swifties kind of like grail albums from her. The only thing I can think of maybe even comes close that I've seen people kind of really want are some of the more rare variants of Folklore. Like there's like I think In the Trees is the normal one, but I think there's like the In the Weeds variant, which is like apparently incredibly rare. maybe the Long Pond Sessions vinyl, the Record Store Day version of that. I think that was a Record Store Day exclusive, but just incredibly sought after. And when they announced on January 7th that they're doing a reissue, um, everybody just kind of like was very excited. They sold out. Let me see here, like basically they released it in, I think like there was like a main drop on the 7th, and I think there was two other drops like the day after that. And I think it was like they had sold out of it within within like an hour or two. Like it basically apparently some 100,000 copies sold within that time period, which is insane. So 100,000 copies sold. Like Swifties got their orders in, they got their order confirmations. They thought they were in the clear. They thought they were getting, like a very sought after album to add to their collection. And then a lot of them found out that their orders had been canceled, like massive amounts of these orders getting canceled. And they didn't even find out about these cancellations directly from UMG. So UMG didn't even, apparently a lot of Swifties were saying they didn't even get emails from UMG saying that their orders got canceled. They found out through like PayPal. PayPal like maybe sent them an email or a notification saying UMG has refunded you like a 50, I think like a lot of them were like $54 or something, because it was 40 for the vinyl, like 10 for shipping and tax. So like it was like 50 and change for these orders. So they were getting refunded in that exact amount. There was also apparently emails that went out that UMG was refunding like shipping because they overcharged for shipping or something like that. So like they got like a small shipping refund, and then like after that their entire order ended up getting refunded as well. So getting entirely canceled on top of having that partial shipping refund done as well. So but like I said, they didn't even find out about this from UMG. Like they got notifications from PayPal. I think the Shop app had sent notifications about the refunds. Maybe like their bank or credit card, issuer or like credit union or whoever had sent like a notification saying that there was a refund on their account. Let's see where I'm at here. So many refunds. Like I said, like UMG didn't send out any kind of emails about it. So when Swifties contacted UMG to figure out what was going on, at first they got a very, very canned response saying that they had canceled any orders that had exceeded the maximum amount of copies you could get, which is apparently 4. However, the issue with that is a lot of these fans had only ordered 1 copy, maybe 2 copies, and they were being told that they had ordered more than the limit of 4. So that didn't make a lot of sense, because if you're only ordering 1 copy, why are you getting an email saying that you ordered, above 4, which didn't happen. Let me just see here where I'm at with the notes. Okay, so yeah, so basically like they were being told by UMG that they had ordered more than they had, which in a lot of cases wasn't true. And this is far from the first time that her store has had just massive issues. I think like the bigger one before that was like the holiday 2023 was a complete disaster for UMG, for the store, because like they put out a bunch of stuff. A lot of merch was dropped. I think it was like, maybe it was like Black Friday 2023 or something, and it was like like obviously like albums, and they did a whole bunch of different like Christmas ornaments and snow globes, obviously shirts and other accessories, and like everybody got their orders in, and a lot of those orders also got canceled and also got refunded. Some people had ordered that stuff for the holidays, expecting it to, like be there for Christmas, and then like they were probably buying it. Maybe some of it was for themselves, some of it was for for gifts. So now a lot of them ended up completely empty-handed when like those ornaments were gifts that they were looking to give away to friends and family. Maybe some of them were for themselves. But the really major kind of issue with that was there was another bunch of refunds where I think UMG at some point just put their hands up. They refunded a bunch of people, but then also sent their stuff along anyway. So that's kind of like, if you like, good for those fans that like that happened to, I guess. But then you also have these other fans that had their orders canceled. They got refunded, but then they still ended up empty-handed. And then on the other hand, the other side of the coin, you have these people that got their orders refunded basically, and then got everything for free basically. So I remember like reading articles about how some people just got like nothing and well, they got their refunds at least, but they got their refunds and they ended up with nothing, while some got their refunds and ended up with everything they ordered. Because I think that was just a massive mess up on the whole UMG side of things, where they just couldn't handle demand. Maybe they didn't have enough product. Not really sure what was going on there. So the other issue with this was that this particular vinyl is there are just tons of listings already on secondary marketplaces like eBay and places that are already scalping these albums, and I don't think these people on eBay actually have them in hand. But I remember seeing like there was like a listing where somebody had like 300 copies of it for sale. Like it's like how? Because especially if they're like if they actually did have them, I kind of doubt they did. But a lot of Swifties were like, why are we being kind of like screwed over while the resellers are getting, like all of their copies that they are now, like marking up like astronomically. Because like I said earlier in the video, this album before this reissue could go up to $800 for like a copy of it. It's a double disc heart-shaped vinyl release. But then the people that are basically like being very predatory about it, apparently, at least it appears, are getting their copies. I don't think they have those in hand. I think it's kind of like when you go to a concert and you see like tickets for an upcoming show that are being sold on like StubHub before they're even available to the public. So like they probably placed a bunch of orders and they're hoping to get that many to resell, but they probably don't actually have those in hand. And this whole story about these cancellations has been all over Twitter/X, all over TikTok, all over Reddit. So I definitely feel like it affects a lot of the people that had ordered this, because it's like I said, it's a very rare and sought after album, and it definitely is just a I feel really bad for the people that thought they were getting this this sought after thing and now are getting nothing. Some people were speculating that it was because of duplicate addresses in like apartment complexes, which the thing is, like, I could see that happening for a smaller artist. Like, Taylor Swift is arguably the biggest musician in the world currently. But like, her store's been around for a while. It's not like she's an indie startup, and they're just kind of just growing pains with growing like an online store. And this is all on UMG. So like a lot of people speculated their orders got canceled because they would go to the same address because they're like their apartment complexes. But even though they wouldn't really be duplicate addresses, because like apartment 1, apartment 2, and apartment 3, even though it's in the same building, should be not duplicate addresses. Yes, it's the same building, but I wouldn't be surprised with how big Taylor is that if there's probably an apartment complex in a city somewhere, any city really, and it would not be outside of the realm of possibility that multiple people in that same apartment complex, different apartments of course, had ordered this record, and then they would have UMG would say like, oh, this record's going to the same building. You would think by now that the UMG store would be able to recognize when an album is going to an apartment complex. A lot of people thought that it could be due to kind of like package forwarding services that apartments use. Like apartments, maybe like they have like a receiving room, and I think the company is called Fetch. I remember seeing a lot of people talking about Fetch when it was these cancellations were first coming out. I can understand those issues if it was with a smaller artist or an artist that was just starting out. But Taylor Swift's store has been around for a long time. They've dealt with, just like, I don't know how many packages, but just like insane volume of orders, whether it be albums or shirts or like the ornaments or any of the other accessories that they make, and like other merch. So I don't really, it's just weird that her whole store, or the UMG store, is just feels incredibly incompetent. And I think what happened, a lot of people are speculating that this album was just like way oversold. So they sold way more copies than they actually had, and then they're just kind of scrambling to kind of cancel orders and be like that. I mean, like it's kind of crazy once you can get an order confirmation, you think you're good to go, but you're not. You're like I think like with a lot of UMG stuff is you are not safe really until that package gets delivered. So basically, a lot of people were getting their orders canceled, but also at the same time, a lot of people were getting their orders. So they had a lot of these were shipping out very quickly. I think they actually make a bigger effort to ship out albums specifically for the sake of charting for Billboard. So I've only ever ordered music from a store. I haven't ordered any kind of like other merch beside an album. And it was the first one I ordered was the 1989 Taylor's version, which came out like very quickly. Like I pre-ordered it when they announced. I think it was like whatever the pink variant was. I got that one, and then once it was released, I had it within a week. So there's a running joke with Swifties where they call it fern jail because that's kind of where the packages kind of like await getting picked up. Like the label gets created. I think it's in like their Ferndale warehouse, and albums get out of there pretty quickly. But a lot of times, like other merchandise, they prioritize less, like shirts and like other stuff that isn't music, because I think they want to get those first week sales out for the sake of Billboard. So they send out music very quickly. Like if you order music from her store, you're generally getting it pretty quickly, and people are already getting their Lover Live from Paris vinyls from this most recent restock. Of course, the people that aren't that orders canceled, I should say. But other stuff like other merch could like sometimes just sit in the Ferndale warehouse for several days, maybe a week, maybe longer, and that's where the whole name Fern Jail comes from. So like if you're be like you ordered that cardigan, it's stuck in Fern Jail. But let me see what else we have here, and I think that's it until we're actually going to switch over and look at some. I have some tweets that I saved that potentially could explain like a lot of why these orders are being canceled and potentially what happened. The unfortunate thing is the responses from UMG have been like there's no accountability. There's no like they haven't really apologized. They haven't really taken responsibility for what's going on. And I said this is like I said earlier in the video. This is all rests kind of so on the shoulders of UMG. Taylor is kind of like not really involved with this, so this is definitely more about UMG's like handling or mishandling of this. So it feels really bad because like these Swifties were really waiting to get this record, and just like the way UMG has handled it, it makes it seem like they've done something wrong. That it's the fault of the Swifties that are placing these orders when it absolutely isn't. So we're gonna flip the camera around and we're gonna look at some tweets that kind of explain what maybe happened, and then also some of UMG's responses. We'll be right back with that. So this is a series of tweets from somebody. I blurred the name just to kind of be safe, and then we have one of UMG's like responses to people inquiring about what happened. Their first response I remember seeing a lot of was that they had ordered many copies, and that's why their order got canceled, despite the fans only ordering like 1 or 2 copies. So the second one here at the end of the slideshow is their response of what the fans have to do to potentially get their order reinstated, maybe. But let's go ahead and load this up here. So this is kind of explaining what possibly happened with these orders. So it says, based on the publicly available rollout data for Lover Live in Paris, I believe the order cancellations are due to a UMG Shopify failure where they appear to have oversold by 65,000 units and not immediately realized. So that's insane. So apparently up to possibly 65,000 copies are potentially being canceled. Again, I don't know where that 65,000 comes from, if that's like a legitimate number, but let's just go with that for now. It says, everything in this thread is alleged, and there's limitations to the data, which I'll detail. Okay, it says basically this is kind of like logistics of the album. It says each copy weighs 278 grams. They're pressed in Czechia, Czech Republic, and there is only one plant large enough to produce quantity at this scale. The plant delivered an unusually high quantity of vinyl to UMG in mid-December. All prior deliveries of this size have aligned with a Taylor Swift release. So, like Tortured Poets Department, I think I have like down right there are a bunch of my Taylor Swift vinyls, and I think a few of them came from the Czech Republic. Usually it's on the shrink wrap. It'll tell you where it was pressed. And I think there's a lot of times she also uses pressing vinyl manufacturing in France. I think a couple of my albums came from France. A couple of them were Czech Republic. So let's go to our next slide here. And it says, this shipment had an abnormal weight to carton ratio. There was far more stock squashed into each carton than usual, which is an indicator that this shipment had more products and less packaging than usual, i.e. no gatefolds or thick cardboard covers bulking out boxes. When Lover Life in Paris dropped on the site, no merch bot was able to pull total inventory for approximately 14 minutes. This means there was no limit on the total quantity available. This is only ever usually done for pre-orders where total quantity is yet to be determined. Lover Life in Paris was not a pre-order. So basically this was just an order, get it out. It wasn't a pre-order. And apparently so there was basically a 14-minute window where I think maybe bots or other people were just able to order massive quantities possibly. And that's maybe where a lot of those issues maybe fall. But again, big thing here, this is not a pre-order. When the total available quantity was updated, there was a total of 100,000 units on the U.S. store. There was one moderate restock of 25,000 units 2 days after the first drop. So basically 100,000 day one, that sold out within like an hour or two. It was pretty quick. I didn't know that this had come out, and like by the time I went on there to even look, it was already gone. But so they did a restock of 25,000 units 2 days after that. And then it says, assuming the December delivery was Lover Life in Paris, there was 122,000 units physically at the UMG warehouse. Assuming sales minute were consistent for the first 14 minutes as they were for the next 10, 65,000 sold before a total available quantity was loaded onto the site. So basically it went on sale without a kind of like an indicator of like how many they had. And by that time, 65,000 copies had already sold before that happened. One thing to realize with Taylor Swift, like album releases, especially like limited ones and rare ones like this, and like when she did the Tortured Poets Department signed CDs, those things just like they sell insanely fast. Like it's like you'd be surprised how fast they sell. Maybe you wouldn't be surprised, but they go really quick. Like we're looking at maybe 10, maybe it said 14 and then 10, so maybe 24 minutes looking at 64,000 or 65,000 copies. Again, this is all kind of speculation, but including the moderate restock, this puts the total sold at 190,800 sold. There hasn't been any data thus far which indicates more than 122,000 were pressed and available at the UMG warehouse. Sorry, excuse me. So why would they put 25,000 on sale 2 days later? In my personal opinion, they don't know, or they didn't know they had oversold yet. Selling 125,000 makes sense for an order of 122,000. There was a buffer for shrinkage, and we know there were some legitimate cancellations for people who tried to order more than 4, had a mismatched billing address, used a freight forwarder, we kind of talked about earlier in the video, forwarder, etc. This is normal and expected and would have made perfect sense for a 122,000 copy release. But I can also theorize purely based on industry experience and prior comms with UMG, where they have explicitly told many of us that orders are immediately sent to the warehouse is to avoid false out of stock. So there's likely a disconnect between available stock and orders. I think orders began being canceled by default because pickers, people who go in warehouses to grab the stuff, pickers would have gone to get your Lover Life in Paris off the shelf, and there was simply no stock there, plus no more expected deliveries. This would explain why orders began reverting to pre-order in the shop app. One thing to note about this weird thing about the pre-orders is it's not really it wasn't a pre-order, but also if it was a pre-order, you wouldn't really be refunding somebody the money. A lot of these pre-orders, I know there are some companies where if you pre-order, you don't pay until it actually ships. A lot of times with when I pre-ordered the 1989 Taylor's version, that was you basically paid up front and you would get the order when it came out. So them refunding people and then reverting it to a pre-order is weird, because I think at that point, if they ran out, they would contact customers to be like, "Hey, we're out of stock. Would you still like this record?" And then they would potentially try to get it to you later. I actually had that happen with, it's not a Taylor Swift record necessarily, but it is the Vitamin String Quartet vinyl that they did. They did a Taylor Swift cover album. It's all kinds of string quartet covers. And I bought it on Amazon, and it was supposed to like arrive, like this was like last February at some point. Got an email from Amazon being like, "Hey, like it's not going to arrive. When do you expect it? Do you still want it? Because we'll keep your order on file and then ship it to you once we get it." So they should have done that with this, and it's weird that they then switched it to a pre-order. So they basically, like, at that point, customers bought the album, they got their order confirmation, money's been paid to UMG, UMG cancels the order, refunds the money, and then switches it to a pre-order, but then they would have to then charge them again to get that. It's just a whole mess at this point. So it became a pre-order. It seems like perhaps they've discovered the issue and are now trying to stop your orders from being auto-canceled by the warehouse's inability to fulfill it. And I think that's the last one of those. And I think we're now going into, this is UMG's response, or their second response to a lot of people. This one I pulled from somebody that had, this response has been all over Twitter and Reddit and all over the place. But it says, "Hi there," and this is from UMG. So, "Hi there, thank you for your patience and our apologies for any confusion. Unfortunately, we're not able to ship orders to the shipping address you entered upon purchase. As a result, your order was canceled and refunded." Okay, so there's a little bit of an explanation there. But again, this is, days after they got a canned response and like weren't even informed about the orders getting canceled initially. It says, "Please provide your full exact address by January 21st, 2025 at 12 Pacific so we can validate your address, or validate that your address meets the correct shipping requirements. In order to assist you further, upon validation, you'll be able to purchase 1 unit of the Lover Life in Paris heart-shaped vinyl until the January 28th, 2025 at noon. So if you already purchased the maximum amount of your shipping or billing address is not within the U.S., we will be unable to assist you further. So thank you for understanding, UMusic customer care." So weird thing with this is, like I said, initially they blanket kind of just, I think, like the canned response was that you ordered too many, you ordered more than 4, we're canceling and refunding your order. Now it's saying that they can't, there's confusion with the shipping address. So a lot of people on Reddit were saying this is weird because they've placed orders, on the Taylor Swift store from UMG for years with that same shipping address, same billing address, and have gotten all their orders, prior to this. So this just feels kind of like a weird excuse that they couldn't validate the address, especially if the customers had already had orders going to these addresses from UMG before. So now we're basically saying re-provide your address, and now we're just making the Swifties jump through hoops to get something that, again, this shouldn't happen, especially with a store as big as the Taylor Swift store. So they're basically having to revalidate their address to get one unit. So it seems like they're actually, at the very least, trying to maybe, I really want to see where this goes and see if the fans that were impacted by this actually get at least one copy. I feel bad for the ones that did get canceled, because now they're having to basically jump through hoops to get something that they've already paid for, or they got it refunded, but you know what I mean. So I feel really bad for that, and I'm interested to see if any of the Swifties that respond to this and provide and revalidate their address and all that actually get the records that they are supposed to be getting. So I just feel bad for anybody that pre-ordered, or not even pre-ordered. It was just an order. It wasn't a pre-order that ordered this and is kind of getting shafted by UMG for. It just seems like they oversold. I don't really know, but everything is pointing to them overselling it, and now they're scrambling to try to like fix the issue. But there's really no accountability on UMG's part. They're making it seem like it's the fault of the customer when it absolutely isn't. Especially with them saying you ordered more than 4, which they didn't. A lot of them didn't, and then they're saying, well, your address is bad, and it's making them kind of like, it's just making them jump through hoops, and I don't think that's cool at all. So, but that's basically where we're at with this story as of now. If you ordered this particular vinyl and you had your order canceled, let me know in the comments below. Let me know like exactly like what happened, or if you, and then if you ended up getting your vinyl, if you went through this process to revalidate the address and you ended up getting it, comment as well. I'm really interested to see, like where this goes from here. If UMG is looking to, make this right and maybe get everybody that ordered this album to get it into their hands, because like I said, this is a rare and very sought after album, and it's just a bad situation where you think you got something, you got your order confirmation, and then UMG is like, nah, sorry, we canceled that. So if you order this album, I guess either way, if you ordered it and you already got it, I know some Swifties have already gotten their copies and they look really nice. The marbling on them is really cool looking. But I've seen people posting that they've gotten theirs. I've seen some people post that like the packaging on some of them was kind of damaged. I think I saw one on Reddit that where it was completely cracked in half. I don't know if that's on UMG or like the postal service or whatever. But if you ordered this album and you got your order canceled, let me know in the comments below. If you ordered it and you got your album, let me know. And then also, if you ended up going through this process of revalidating your address to get the vinyl, like I'm interested to see how UMG resolves it. But that's going to do it for this video. So remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We may do some more of these music news videos when they're kind of relevant. And I think I'll feel this was a kind of huge kind of thing because this album is super rare and it's just been it's turned into another fiasco with the UMG store. But again, that's going to do it for now. So remember to like, comment, share, subscribe. We'll see you again next time. Thanks again for watching. Take care and have a good one. See ya.